Let's talk about what you're really selling.
You're a voice actor. You're an entrepreneur. You're a VOPRENEUR. Welcome to the Everyday VOPRENEUR podcast, your guide through the business of voiceover.
Your number one marketing tool is your voiceover demos. When you're posting them online, you want to be sure they're playable on any device and with any browser. The VoiceZam player does exactly that. Sign up at msvo.me/msvoicezam and receive 3 months of VoiceZam for the price of one. Sign up now at msvo.me/msvoicezam.
The VOPRENEUR podcast. Hey, it doesn't suck.
Not as funny as Conan. Not as cute as Seth Meyers. Not as smart as Colbert. But he's one of us, and that counts for something. Here's Mark Scott, the original Everyday VOPRENEUR.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Everyday VOpreneur podcast, your guide through the business of voiceover. I'm Mark Scott, the original Everyday VOpreneur, and really excited to dive into another episode with you. But before we get started, I want to remind you about something. If you go to the website at VOPRENEUR.com, there are a couple of things you're going to be able to do there. First and foremost, you can listen to every episode of the podcast. Download every episode of the podcast. Go back through the archives. You don't have to miss anything. The other thing you can do while you're there is click on the shop button. That shop button is going to give you the opportunity to pick up your very own VOpreneur swag, including t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops to get you ready for summer, both with the VOpreneur and the original voiceover design. So that is available at VOPRENEUR.com. Click on the shop button. This week's episode is inspired in two different ways, from two different conversations that were unrelated, but they brought me to a common theme. So the first one came as the result of a private coaching session that I was doing with someone. And the question that he asked is one that we're all trying to answer. And basically, he wanted to know, what is the solution that I provide? So when it comes to figuring out how to market your voiceover business, you have to understand that marketing is all about identifying problems so that we can offer solutions. We need to figure out what the problems are that our clients have, and then we need to be able to tell them how we can solve those problems. When we tell them how we can solve those problems through our messaging, that is going to lead to an effective form of marketing. So it's not just talking about your voiceover services, but it's talking about how the voiceover services that you offer are going to benefit them, how the voiceover services that you offer are going to provide a solution to their problems. And so this particular voice actor was asking that question. What is the solution that I provide? And that's something that we brainstormed out in a few different ways, because there are a lot of different answers to that question. What is the solution that I provide? What is the problem that I am solving? Now, the other part of this week's episode comes from a secondary experience that I had. And I did write about this a little bit in the VOpreneur Facebook group. I did my first Source Connect session on Monday, May 25th. Up until this point, because I primarily work in the corporate and e-learning space, I have never really had a need for Source Connect. None of my clients have ever asked me for Source Connect before. And I have documented in the past in this podcast that I do have some internet issues with my small town rural internet provider. And so signing up for Source Connect just never really felt like a good investment, A, because I'd never really needed it before, and B, because I was never really sure whether or not my internet connection would stand up to be able to get through an entire Source Connect session. But I had a client that requested it as a result of COVID. This was a client that I had previously gone into the studio and recorded with. And so I said, all right, well, we'll give it a shot and fingers crossed, and hopefully we get through it. So I signed up for Source Connect and did my first session on Monday. Now, everything went smoothly, and I'm really excited. I'm going to continue to maintain that subscription. We'll see whether or not it generates some new opportunities, opens up some new doors. I'm excited about it. I am like every other voice actor on planet Earth now, apparently. There was a massive rush to get Source Connect when the pandemic hit. And it wasn't just voice actors that were doing it, by the way. A lot of these studios who previously brought voice actors in-house, they were signing up for Source Connect as well. So anyway, as we go into this session, I make the connection and I do a quick mic check to make sure that they're happy with the levels and everything is all good. And the very first thing the engineer says to me is, "Man, this sounds so great." Now, for me, I'm thinking, I hope so. I mean, this is what I do. I offer professional voiceover services. And I talk about the quality of my audio, so I hope it sounds really great. So I was a little bit surprised at how relieved he sounded that my sound was good. What I came to find out was that since the pandemic hit, he had probably done about 20 different Source Connect sessions. And he said the vast majority of them were terrible because the sound was bad. So here I am stressing about whether or not my internet connection is going to hold up. But on his side, he's just thinking, dear Lord, let this sound like it's not being recorded in the bathroom. It never occurred to me that it would be that much of a problem. I mean, I understand that particularly right now as we live through the COVID-19 pandemic and as a lot of people find themselves out of work, just like at other points in our history, a lot of people turn to voiceover because they think that it's a really easy way to make money. And there are a lot of coaches who will happily sell you on the idea of being able to make quick, easy money in voiceover. And, you just need your microphone and your computer and your ability to talk. And as long as you have those things and can read, you're good to go. I know that those people are out there. I know that that's always going to exist. But I guess I just always assumed that for those that were offering professional voiceover services, and particularly those who had Source Connect and were paying for Source Connect, I mean, it's not cheap. It's an ongoing expense, and unless you buy it outright, and buying it outright isn't cheap either. But I just assumed that if you had it, your sound was dialed in. And evidently that is not the case. Evidently there are a lot of voice actors that are out there that think that by signing up for Source Connect, they immediately add a level of professionalism to themselves and to their home studios, but yet they don't actually know if their studio is any good. Which brings me to a quote that I had posted in the VOPRENEUR group. You're selling your sound. Be 100% confident it's worth paying for. Let me repeat that. You're selling your sound. Be 100% confident it's worth paying for. Now, you would think that it would stand to reason that if you are setting up your professional home studio and you're investing in something like Source Connect, that you will have already got that sorted out, but evidently not everybody has. And I understand there are a lot of different reasons for that, not the least of which is most of us are not engineers. So what we think may sound good to our untrained ear may actually not sound that great at all. But we are selling our sound. If you go to the dealership and you lay money down on the table to buy a vehicle, you are buying that vehicle with the assumption that that vehicle is going to run, right? You want to be able to drive that car. Well, if I'm coming to you to buy your professional voiceover services, I am assuming that you are providing me with a sound quality that is worth paying for. But I guess you know what they say about assuming. Maybe we shouldn't be doing that. So, to tie this together, the first question that was asked in that coaching session, what is the problem that I solve? What is the solution that I provide? And then the second point from my conversation with the engineer where, 20 Source Connect sessions and most of them sounded bad, part of the solution that we provide as voice actors is broadcast quality sound. That is one of the things that our clients are looking for. Even if the project is not meant for broadcast, it is still implied, I think, that there will be a level of quality to the audio that is going to be worth paying for, because otherwise they'd do it themselves. Anybody can plug a microphone into their computer and record. We've established this. It happens a lot in the e-learning space. People plug microphones into their computers and sit in their cubicles and record their e-learning programs, and it doesn't sound good. So if I'm paying a premium for a professional voice actor, I'm doing so under the assumption that my sound is going to be better, that it's going to be dialed in, that it's going to be broadcast quality. I think it was Cliff Zellman that said, your demo is a promise. And what Cliff was saying, or what I believe that Cliff was saying in that statement, was that when somebody comes to your website and listens to your demo, they are assuming that you can deliver what the demo offers. Now, for a lot of people, maybe your demo has been recorded in a studio. When I recorded my e-learning demo with Anganguza, I actually did fly out to LA and we recorded in a studio together. And when I recorded my commercial demo with Uncle Roy, I actually did fly to New Jersey and do a killer demo adventure session with Uncle Roy. And, we did it in person. But the assumption then is that if this is how good my demo sounds and this is what I am marketing with, then I better have the ability to back that up. If somebody is going to hire me because of my demo and what they heard on my demo, they are assuming that that is what I am going to be able to deliver. So if you recorded your demo in a studio, but your home studio sounds bad, we've got a problem. You're breaking the promise. So what I want to address in this issue, and I know it's something that I've talked about before, but I want to bring it up again because I think that it is absolutely vital. We are seeing a shift taking place in the industry right now. That shift has caused the rise of the home studio. That shift is the reason why every voice actor and their grandma is going out and signing up for Source Connect or IPDTL or maybe both of them right now. That's why the wait times to get service with Source Connect are so high because everybody is signing up right now. This is a product of the shift that is taking place in our industry as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. And again, it's not just voice actors signing up, it's the studios that are signing up as well. It could be a long time before we are able to go back into the studio again. And the fact of the matter is that even when we are able to go back into the studio again, maybe we won't. Case in point, in Ontario, recording studios are now allowed to be open. It is one of the businesses that the government deemed was safe to open. And yet, the studio that I did the session with on Monday decided to do things remotely. They decided to do things via Source Connect because there was the director that was going to have to listen in. There's the talent, me, that has to come into the studio, the engineer that has to be in the studio. And rather than bringing all of those people together in one room, they decided that it was going to be safer to do it via Source Connect, even though legally the studio is allowed to be open. All that to say, this shift may end up being permanent. I don't know that everything is just going to go back to the way it was because now that we have identified that we can do this remotely, we can do this with Source Connect, we can do it so much more conveniently than trying to get everybody together in the same place, that all those sessions that previously happened in recording studios in person may not be happening in recording studios in person anymore. This is the rise of the home studio. And so if you are going to be a part of that shift, and if you are going to succeed in that shift, you better make darn sure that your home studio sounds legit, that your home studio is broadcast ready. Now, I know part of the challenge is that if you're a voice actor that lives in a major center and primarily all you've ever done is work in studio, then this is a big shift for you. Because you are having to set something up from home, and it's not something that you may have previously had in place. And I understand that there is a struggle and a frustration and absolutely an expense that goes along with it. I am guessing that all of us have seen auditions coming in from agents where they actually offer to send equipment to the talent that books the job to make sure that you have the right microphone, the right interface, etc., etc., etc. That's all well and good. You can go out and you can buy your $4,000 U87 and your $5,000 Avalon preamp. But if your recording space isn't treated properly, all that $10,000 worth of equipment is going to do is amplify how poorly of a space you are recording in. You're going to have to get this sorted out. I don't know if we're going to go back. And even if we do, I don't know how soon it is going to happen. Your demo is a promise. There is an expectation that what the buyer hears on the demo is what you are able to deliver. And if you cannot deliver that from your home studio, there's something that you need to do about it. Because one of the problems that you are solving right now is the ability to allow recordings to go forward even though we can't get together in professional studios. That is to say, to travel to an outside studio. You need to get your sound right. I've talked about this in other episodes. I'm going to throw it in here again. I know that Uncle Roy offers assessments. This is an opportunity for you to send an audio clip to him, and he will listen to it, and he'll tell you straight up, nope, your sound's great. You don't have to do anything. Or he'll tell you, let's tweak this, make the change. Or he'll say, you know what? You got nothing to work with here. We got to start over again. Whatever it may be, he's going to tell you honestly, and he'll do it for free. So for those of you that want to take advantage of that, go into your booth, record a 30-second audition script, and record 10 seconds of room tone, and email that file to Uncle Roy. And I'll post his email address in the show notes so that you can check that out. But 30 seconds of recording an audition script, 10 seconds of room tone, raw. Don't edit it. Don't do anything. Just send him raw audio, and he'll assess it. He'll tell you whether or not you are where you need to be. For those of you that are members of the World Voices organization, you can do something that I did, and that was do the WOVO studio approval. Now, at the time that I did the WOVO studio approval, I didn't believe that it was going to make any difference from a buyer standpoint. That is to say, I don't think that there is a single buyer that was going to come to my website that was going to hire me or not hire me because I had the WOVO studio approval badge on my website. But that wasn't why I did it. The reason why I went through the WOVO studio approval process was because I wanted experts like Uncle Roy, like Cliff Selman, George Whittam, Dan Leonard. I wanted them to listen to my raw audio. I wanted them to tell me that my studio was broadcast ready. That gave me peace of mind. That's the only reason why I went through that process, was for my own peace of mind, so that I could know that what I was offering to my clients was good. I was never going to have to wonder whether or not somebody was listening on the other end questioning the quality of my sound. This is part of being a business owner. This is part of being a VOPRENEUR. It's making the smart investments that is setting your business up for success. If you are not a professional engineer, and don't message me asking me what a professional engineer is, because if you're asking me that, then I already know that you aren't one. If you are not a professional engineer, and don't feel bad, the vast majority of voice actors aren't. I'm not. This is why I have people in my network that can help me with this stuff. But if you have never had your studio assessed and you are not 100% confident in the quality of the sound that you are offering, before you make any upgrades in microphones or upgrades in interfaces, or before you sign up for that Source Connect subscription, you need to make sure that your recording space is right. You need to make sure that it has been treated properly, because, like I said, a really expensive microphone is only going to highlight the space. If you are recording in a room that sounds like a bathroom, a Neumann isn't going to fix that. It's still going to sound like a bathroom. So, if you haven't done it, now's the time to do it. Because this change, even if it is only temporary, it's still going to go on for quite a while. More and more and more, voice actors are going to have the opportunity to work remotely on jobs that they never previously would have been able to work remotely on before. You want to be one of the ones that is offering a broadcast-ready sound that knows exactly what they are doing, so that when the engineer sees your name on their work list for the day, they're breathing a sigh of relief. Oh, perfect. We're doing a session with Mark today. I know that his studio's dialed in. I got nothing to worry about. Learn how to use your software. Learn how to use your equipment. Learn how to use Source Connect. And make sure your sound is good. Send the assessment to Uncle Roy. He doesn't know that I'm doing this right now, by the way. I know that he offers these assessments, but I didn't tell him that I was going to throw this into the podcast. 30 seconds of raw audio, 10 seconds of room tone. Email it to him. Again, I'll throw his email in the show notes. Get your sound assessed. Make sure that it's good. If you're a WOVO member, inquire about the studio approval. Have people listen for you. The WOVO studio approval, I don't know what it costs now. At the time that I did it, I think it was $50. That was $50 well spent. That was $50 for my peace of mind to know that what I was putting out was good. Make the investment. Remember the quote that I said in the beginning of the episode. You're selling your sound. Be 100% confident it's worth paying for. Remember, All the episodes of the podcast are available at VOPRENEUR.com. It is your opportunity to go and listen through all of the archives. Over 60 episodes that are designed to help you with the business and marketing side of voiceover, helping you to become a VOpreneur. And while you're on the website at VOPRENEUR.com, remember to click on that shop button, order your VOpreneur tee, your VOpreneur hoodie. Although even in Canada, we don't need the hoodies right now. Get your VOpreneur tank top. VOPRENEUR.com, click on the shop button. I'd also like to say thank you to those of you that have left a review on Apple Podcasts. Those reviews are greatly appreciated, and they do help for other people to be able to discover the Everyday VOpreneur podcast and know that it's worth giving a listen. So if you are subscribed on Apple Podcasts, it would mean a great deal to me if you would take a minute after this episode is done to leave that review. Guys, thanks so much for listening to another episode of the Everyday VOpreneur podcast. I'll catch you on the next one.
The Everyday VOpreneur podcast. Available everywhere fine podcasts are given away for free. Mostly, we think.
Your number one marketing tool is your voiceover demos. When you're posting them online, you want to be sure they're playable on any device and with any browser. The VoiceSam player does exactly that. Sign up at msvo.me/msvoicesam and receive 3 months of VoiceSam for the price of one. Sign up now at msvo.me/msvoicesam.
And sing.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for hanging in. Thanks for hanging out. Want more VOpreneur goodness? Jump online at VOpreneur.com.